This is Leonard Pickel. We'll talk to you soon.
Oh man, it must be Thursday because I'm here and you're here and we're all here. And we got a really cool show lined up for you tonight. Maybe even a giveaway. I'm looking see here at the comments and how many people are watching. So I don't know. I haven't really decided anything yet. So if we get some people in here, maybe we'll do a giveaway. Last week we gave away 2 VIP passes for HauntCon in Orlando for next January. So somebody won 2 VIP passes and is going to Orlando, which is really, really super cool that HauntCon's coming back. And they won free passes. You could win free stuff too. All you gotta do is like and share. We get enough people, we'll do a hashtag, and that's how you enter in to win. And we'll figure that out once I figure out if we're gonna give away something or not. Let's see here. Yeah. So I don't know. Let's get started. We have 2 cool guests tonight. Somebody had to reschedule, but I promise Beth will be back on. Uh so I will go ahead and I'll just bring up Vick Springston from Monsters Misfits.
What's up, gang?
What's going on, Vic? Good to have you on the show, man.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
For the people out there that don't know you or don't know Monster Misfits, why don't you give us a rundown of what you got going on?
Well, so I'm really new to the game. I've only been doing it maybe 3 years or so. So I have a lot to learn, and most everything I learn is from fellow hunters out there. I'll say, hey man, how do I do this, or what kind of product do I need to make certain things, and it's a lot of learning. So I'm just your average Yahoo guy, just trying to figure out how to make stuff and make it better. And that's I think that's the thing of it is once you start doing little stuff, you want to graduate to bigger and better stuff. And that's what I've been trying to do. So it's rough. So I got a lot of mistakes that I've had to throw away and start over again. But that's all what it's all about. And just trying to make a decent product to share with people out there that's interested in it. So, and if they need to know how to do something, they can always hit me up and say, "Hey, what kind of material did you use to make this?" And I'll show you. I'll tell you. It doesn't hurt my feelings. Or you can look at my YouTube channel. I'll show you how I make everything on there as well.
What is your YouTube channel?
It's Monster Misfits.
So speaking of small things, you said you're starting off small, start doing small things. Where were some of the first projects you worked on?
Corpse skeletons. That was, everybody does a plastic corpse skeleton with the heat gun and all that stuff. So that was some of the small stuff I played around with. And once you do that, then I mean, there's so much talent out there with just plastic that you can do. And you, I mean, like Christopher, one of my buddies, man, he makes some awesome corpses with plastic, and you just keep playing with it and using different colors, different materials, and you just never stop. Even if you use one product of making something like the plastic ordeal, but you can add so much to it to make it so much better, and that's kind of where I've done, and I'll just keep on until you know uh, graduate from the plastic to actually making corpse skin and stuff like that. It's a challenge, but and it's a lot of money sometimes because you're constantly practicing to try to make a better product and get it to look a certain way. And but that's what it's all about. Just keep on going until you find something you're happy with and comfortable with. But don't stop there. Continue to keep doing it to make you something, of your own, or just a better product. Or there's so much stuff you can use out there. It's amazing that the talent stuff. I mean, I've heard somebody say, "Hey, man, just use some house insulation and latex." I was like, "What?" But it works. House insulation would be kind of like using cotton balls or something like that in there. Stuff you can get some wild looking designs and stuff. But just keep going until you make something that you're happy with.
Hauntine wants you to graduate to making real corpses. They said that's
I
that's
I don't have a real course, but I have a real skeleton in my garage.
so when you say that you start off small and you move on to bigger things and stuff, what what has your progression been from those first couple years ago when you first started out making the skeletons to where you're at now?
Okay, so a good example is like, the all-time favorite homemade blood is basically clear school glue and food coloring. That's great, but it's only temporary, and it'll peel off, it'll fade out. It's not a permanent solution. So if you want to just do something for yourself that it's quick, that's a great way to go. But over that period of time, I've always wanted to do better and better of how do I make a nice permanent blood, and that's what I've been working on. And thankfully, for the last 2 years, I have finally developed my own permanent blood. And
What's the name of that?
this is monster blood. I don't know if you can see it too good or not, but
There it is.
I sold a ton of this at Fear Expo, and we are getting ready to revamp this to make it a little thicker. So, and everything's a process. I mean, I have a 5 gallon bucket that's 3/4 full. It's worth about $3,000 mistakes. So, you just don't give up. You just keep on going until you get the desired look and feel of everything that your goal is. So that's
So,
one example is, I know this is small, but it's a huge thing for me because it's a 2 years in the making.
how did you like Fear Expo?
I loved it. I sold out. I brought, I took a trailer full. I took a 16-foot trailer from bottom to the top, and I brought back 4 totes. Is all I had on my trailer, and I had one of them was just tools. So,
So you coming back next year then? Is that what you're
oh
saying?
yeah, yeah. I'm already set up to go to the one in Florida in February. Then I'll actually have whenever Doug gets all that stuff set up for next year on that one, I'll be putting my stuff in for that as well. And April, I think you guys got it set up for.
Yeah, yeah, in April. So what kind of things you plan on bringing to Fear Expo next year?
I have a 2 foot by 6 foot panel slab of, it's kind of a skeleton, skulls, and creepy stuff that I'm getting ready to mold up. It's just, silicone is like $250 for a gallon, and I need like 3 gallons of that stuff to mold it. Then it'll be poured up with rigid foam. So I have 2 foot by 6 foot panels that you can be able to put around your haunt or whatever like that. And it's hard to tell what I'm going to come up with. Between now and then, that's a year away. I'll have some 6 foot skeleton creatures, swamp creatures I'll be bringing. So, we'll have a whole bunch of different stuff, I'm sure.
So you say you got started about 3 years ago. What got you going? What got you started?
Um, well, I used to be an old truck driver back years ago. I haven't drove truck in about 12 years. And I've always had a creative mind. My whole family's been creative. So back then, I built a coffin for a friend of mine that wanted it for his haunt. Then I had to go back on the road, of course, and make a living. Then it kind of started there, and I was just like, man, I want to just keep doing that. And then a few years ago, I met Keith at Cobwebs and Candlesticks and Dave at the Weird Kid Show. And during the whole pandemic thing, we just started building stuff. And, just pastime. We was doing live shows to talk to people, show them what we've learned, show them what we've messed up, and stuff like that. And it just kind of blew up from there. I was like, man, I think this is what I want to do, and I just want to continue to learn.
Where do you want to go? Like, what do you want to learn? What would you want to be making?
Um, well, I'm 51 years old, so I think my time on this earth is limited. So I got to be careful what I want to make. I mean, I don't want to get too elaborate, then be like, oh well, I got to kick the bucket now. I'm not sure where I want to go. I'm kind of torn by. It's great going to the shows and selling your stuff and letting people see what you create and they enjoy your stuff. But man, I tell you, the camaraderie, the just seeing your old friends and stuff that you see every maybe twice a year. So I'm kind of torn between both of those, which I like the best. I don't get me wrong, I like to create stuff, but there's no feeling like going and visiting all your friends and stuff like that you meet at these shows. It's freaking amazing.
Now you're down in Alabama, correct?
Yes, sir. Birmingham, Alabama.
What's your haunted attraction scene like down there? Tell us about some of the
It's
shows you got.
it's freaking crazy. I mean, there's like five just right around me right now. I mean, they're within 30-minute drive, and I've never been to none of them. This is kind of weird for a haunter or whatever you want to call me. I don't watch scary movies. I don't go to haunted houses. I don't do none of that stuff. I just kind of watch a lot of documentaries of corpses and mummies and stuff like that, and just kind of go from there. Or Keith at Cobwebs and Candlesticks, and Dave, we all just kind of back and forth all the time with each other. So I don't know what anybody's haunt is like here. I don't know if it's great, if it's bad. Here that most of them are pretty freaking good here in this area. But I just don't go to none of them.
Somebody was asking if you're going to be doing a haunt this year.
No, not this year. So we did one a couple years ago, and it turned out pretty great. For not really advertising it, it just cost a lot of money. We had 3 floods come through it because it was outside. A car ran through one of my facades. A tree fell in half of it. One of my guys caught on fire. So it's like, you know, I might want to stop while I'm ahead on that. So,
It doesn't sound like an awful night though. It sounded like that'd been pretty entertaining.
dude, that was the guy catching on fire was the first night. It was horrible. I just watched him roll down to my feet, and I'm like, what is this guy doing? We're sitting there stomping him, trying to
All
put him out.
right. Well, now that you brought it up, we have to hear the story.
Okay, so everybody's like, "Hey, man, since you got outside, the fire marshals and stuff will want to see you use a generator. They don't want to see a bunch of electrical hooks up and stuff like that." I was like, "Okay, cool. We'll use a generator." So we had this guy dressed in a one of them suits that your arms are tied up in and all that stuff. He was a great actor and everything, man. And his name was John. And the generator ran out of gas, so he's over there trying to fill it back up with it still hot, and that thing just went poof. So before you know it, it burnt my generator to the ground. That thing was toast. We had to go buy a new generator the next day, and it was a mess. And he just took off running and rolling down towards me and stuff. But thank God the jacket he had on pretty much saved him because it was nice, heavy cotton, and so he didn't end up being burned or anything. It was just pure luck, pure luck.
That was insane. That was the first night.
That was the very first night. Very first night. We had a girl come up probably an hour or so away to come and help us, and she was so traumatized by it. She goes, "I can't do it. I'm out of here." I was like, "Well, y'all like scared houses? We trying to bring you the real thing."
All
But
right.
that was the only major thing that we had. The rest of it went pretty good for not advertising it and all that stuff. So it went pretty good.
All right. Back to Monster Misfits. Where do you draw inspiration from? Like, how do these things come to life for you?
From everybody. I mean, everybody, the pictures they post, stuff. I mean, well, we got probably 6 or 7 groups ourselves, and these people that should be out here selling product, and they're just posting it and making it themselves for their home hunt or whatever. They're freaking talented, so freaking talented. I was like, man, you guys need to make this stuff and go to a show and sell it. It's just, so I grabbed a lot of inspiration from most of the people on Facebook and YouTubes and stuff like that. Just so much talent out there. It's crazy.
So you're just, I guess, looking at what everybody else is doing and trying to one up them. This is the name of the game.
Well, you know the thing is, you always want to do better. So if
Mhm.
I do reach out to a lot of some really high end people like Rob Kaboski. You know, he makes movies and he does a lot of freaking amazing stuff. And I'll reach out to him and ask him, hey man, what kind of material you use and stuff like that, and just different people. When you do that, most of them be like, hey man, this is what I'll do. Like Evil Jays, I've reached out to Evil Jays, I don't know how many times. Hey man, what kind of foam do I use? I like the way you did this. What's the best way to execute that look that you're going for? And most of them will tell you how to do it, but you got to open your mouth. If you keep your mouth closed, you're not going to learn nothing. So but reach out to some of your peers that you're looking up to and say, hey man, if you don't mind, how are you achieving that look, or what kind of material are you using? 99% of the people will tell you how to do it. There's a few out there, they're going to keep their secrets, and that's fine. That's no problem. It's just like, my blood mixture, that's a secret, but not really. If you reach out to me, I'm probably going to tell you. But it's just the way I am, because it's hard for me to keep anything back when something that is so good that I've worked on for a couple of years, that somebody can make it. Especially, it's just, so if I tell these guys right now, hey man, you can make your own blood, probably 50, 60% of them be like, hey, I just want to go ahead and buy your blood. They don't want to invest in all the materials to make it. So that's going to be the thing, is I really don't mind sharing, the materials and stuff and how I make it, or what I messed up on. Don't do this, or this is the way you need to do it, because this blood is a specific way that you have to make it. If you don't make it a specific way, you'll mess up the whole batch. So
It looks like you have a standing invitation to head on out to Warehouse 31.
yes,
So,
probably from my rotten team, right?
yeah, there's been
Yeah,
a couple of comments of people saying to come on out. So, you should check it out. It's a cool place.
yeah. Warehouse 31 is pretty cool, and there's a couple of them around here that's really cool, but I've never been to any of them. I need to, I guess, spread my wings and go hang out with some of them.
Now, did you get a chance to check out any of the education that Leonard Pickel so graciously set up for everyone at Fear Expo, or were you just too
And
busy?
I sure didn't. I was so busy, and I've been having those back issues. So time I was done, I hung out with some of my friends, and I haven't seen in a while, like Keith and David Quinn and stuff like that. Hung out with them, talked to a lot of different people, and went and crashed or got something to eat because it was so busy. You didn't really have much time to do anything. I mean, it was, you guys had so much stuff going on. It's like I don't know what I need to do.
Yeah, we're trying to keep everybody happy there.
Yes, definitely. You guys did great, man. I mean, you guys' staff is freaking phenomenal. I part if I went and got me a couple of your guys, I wouldn't have to touch anything in my booth. I'd be like, okay, just put this here, put that there, and put that there. I'll just be standing there directing because these guys just did it. They all, well, we had 5 or 7 guys come over and move a 32-foot booth, what, 1 foot forward because I screwed up and put it in the wrong spot.
Well, we always like to think that the quicker that we can get you guys in there and set up and get everything ready to go, the quicker you're going to be out of our hair and we can just move on to the next thing. It's almost a selfish thing on our part. Like, hurry up, get it done right so we can kick them out and get the next group in here and just be done with it. So,
No, it's freaking amazing, man. I mean, you guys impressed me the first year I went. I didn't set up or anything. I just went with David Quinn and with Monsters Alive and helped them out a little bit. And then I talked to Doug a little bit, and he says, "Hey, man, since you come here this first year, he goes, I'll give you the first year rate on setting up." I'm like, "Okay, let's do it." So we did that, and so I sold everything, the booth, everything. So we appreciate that for sure.
yeah, Monsters Alive, man, they had one hell of a booth this year. David put a lot of work into that one.
Man, he did that within like a week and a half, 2 weeks maybe.
Yeah, he does
He,
everything like last minute, but
yeah,
somehow he just does it amazing.
yeah. He's like, "Hey, Vic, look what I'm doing." I'm like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Oh my god, dude, that's just we got like 4 days. We got to pack and go, right?"
That
He goes,
sounds
"Yep,
about right.
yeah."
So, what are other than seeing your friends and everything? What are some of the things that you're looking forward to mostly next year? Maybe like going to Warehouse 31.
Yes, I need to go to Warehouse 31 for sure. I'll probably need to do that this year so I can. I'm sure I got a few friends that'll hold my hand through the haunts and stuff. That I'll just probably just pee my pants or something when I go through them. But yeah, I need to do that. I need to spread my wings a little bit, just kind of get some inspiration, some ideas from other talents that's close to me. And that's my problem is I don't hang with anybody. I'm just kind of a loner here in Alabama. So, it's mostly just people online, but I need to spread my wings and get out there and learn a little bit. So I think it would be great. And just have a good show. I mean, I don't know what you guys do everything. I don't know what anymore that you guys do there.
Oh,
So
well, I mean, you can always go to the parties or, if you're not too wore out from everything else you got to do during the day.
yeah, I went to a couple of them. I went to the one Quinn had and was up on the third, fourth floor that night or something there. But
Yeah, that was a fun one. That was a late one.
yeah, I don't drink, but I did a couple shots that night. So it's fun. It's fun hanging out.
What about getting into animatronics? You ever think about doing anything like that?
Yes, that'll be coming up for too long. So going to be. I've got a few things on that working out. I've got a couple different ideas I want to do, and so hopefully that'll be something I'll be working on this summer to have at Fear Expo next year.
That'd be really cool because I think we did have some animatronics there, but I think Fear Expo could use a little bit more on the animatronic side myself. They're just it's cool. Animatronics is really cool, and when you get a guy that's as talented as yourself and that is driven as you are, that wants to learn that kind of stuff, I really think that you could produce some really crazy, incredible things. I think it'd be really, really cool. So
Yeah, there
two
was.
animatronics.
Yeah, I got a few in the making or plan to make. So we're going to see how that turns out. I might have something catch on fire, so I'll make sure I bring a fire extinguisher or something.
Well, where can everybody find Monsters Misfits?
Right now, you can find me. Just look up Vick Springston on Facebook or one of my groups. I'm in Cobwebs and Candlesticks, Monster Misfits, Fear Injection. I mean, we've got so many groups. I'm real easy to find, but I don't have my website up yet. It's been a long ordeal in the making, and I'm kind of at everybody's mercy trying to get that straightened up. But as soon as that's up, I will make sure I'll make an announcement on that. But if there's something you see that that you like that I make or whatever, I'll try to post it in Monster Misfits or Cobwebs and Candlesticks, and just reach out to me and I'll hook you up.
Well, let us know when your website gets rolling, and we'll put a blast out there, and we'll let everybody know.
Yes, definitely.
So, Vic, thank you for your support. Thank you for coming to the show. I'm glad you had a good time. Get out to Warehouse 31. They keep begging you in the comments to come out.
Yes, I'm
Keep
coming
seeing
this
it.
year. I'm coming this
Keep
year.
seeing it. Again, thank you so much for everything you do. Thank you for coming on the show, and I can't wait to see you next year, man.
All right, brother. You too, man. Appreciate everybody.
All right, guys. Vic, if you guys didn't check out the things that he was having at Fear Expo, I mean, his blood was, I mean, it's blood's been around in this business for a long, long time, and it's something refreshing to see. There's a new take on it, and it's great, and it's quality. Make sure you go check him out. Go hit him up. Get that guy to go to a haunted house or something. Get him out there. Be friends with him. The guy needs friends. Let's see here. Let's see. Is anything good going on in the comments? I don't know. Are we giving something away? I don't know if we giving something away. I haven't heard from the talking heads yet, the big Fear Expo, if we got to give something away. But I tell you what, I'll give something away if we're not gonna do it for Fear Expo. We'll give something away if we hit 50 viewers like usual. So we'll hit 50 viewers, and then we're going to hashtag. Oh man, let's do haunted attractions again. We'll hashtag your favorite haunted attraction. It could be any haunted attraction. It doesn't matter where it's at or what. Just start hashtagging that once we hit 50 views, and I'll keep an eye on that. So, coming up right now, I don't know if this man needs an introduction, but I'm going to give him an introduction anyways. This is Leonard Pickel, the man, the myth, the legend from Entrepreneurs. Leonard, what's going on, my friend?
Hey, it's great to be on your show. I've watched it several times, but I've never had the opportunity to chat.
I am thrilled that you're on it. I don't know. I feel like we need like 6 months of shows with just you on, because man, I mean, how long? It's been what, 40, 45 years you've been doing this?
Oh yeah, at least I built my first haunted house in 1976 in a college dormitory when I was studying to be an architect.
I mean, there's a solid argument right now that in this industry that you've probably been doing it longer than anyone else.
I would imagine John Burton is still out there. He did it earlier than I did, so he's still around. There's some old people out there that are still hanging on, but nobody's getting any younger. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, you're not kidding about that. But not only like you got like 40 plus years. I mean, you've done it all. You've held every job in the haunt industry. You've vended, you've been a haunt owner, you've been an actor, you've been a manager, trade shows, cons. I mean, you name it, you've been a part of it in one way, shape, or form. And I mean, this goes back decades. I mean, I actually think I still keep this
Oh my God!
around.
Don't look at the drawings. Don't look at the drawings. They are embarrassing.
For those of you who don't know, this is copyrighted in 1989, and this is Leonard's book. It's like, it almost looks like every page was hand typed and hand drawn.
It was before computers, dude.
Yeah, so I mean, this was 1989, and I don't think this was the first one, was it?
I was book 3 if it's 89. I think it was 87, 88, and 89. Yeah, each one of them had 20 room designs in it. You know, I built my first haunted house in college, and then graduated and volunteered with the March of Dimes, and I chaired their event for 4 or 5 years and decided I wanted to do my own haunt. So I begged, borrowed, and stole, maxed out all my credit cards and built this haunted house. And You know, it was critically acclaimed, but at the end of the season, I was about $20,000 in debt, which I thought was a total failure, not realizing that a haunted house is a business just like any other, and it's a 3 to 5 year payout. It's not a get rich quick scheme. But yeah, I mean, I went to this class, and now that I'd started a business, I thought maybe I should learn how to do that. And so I took a class in a community college about how to start a business, you know, and sat in the back of the room in horror as the guy at the front of the classroom told me not to do everything that I had already done to start the business. But one of the things he said was, if you're going to start a business, you should be an expert in your field. And how do you become an expert in your field? Well, you write a book. And I was like, well, what am I going to write a book about? And so I came up with, I always been really big about, you know, making these little cut sheets that had room design concepts on them. It had all the, you know, all the different things that I would need. It was really important with the March of Dimes because I had to show them early on what I was going to do. And so that they could make sure that they bought the right masks and bought the right costumes, bought the right lighting and all that kind of stuff for it. So I had all these cut sheets of room design concepts. And so I just put 20 of them in a spiral bound book and put an ad, a little bitty blurb in Fangoria magazine, you know, and started selling books. And yeah, there are people that still got them around. I've redone a lot of the drawings. I'm thinking about reissuing the book with some new room designs in it and way better drawings. The drawings are pretty sad.
Yeah, but I mean, for 1989, this book is still a gold mine. I mean, you have some pretty high tech, like animatronic stuff in here. I mean, Grant, I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, that one of the drawings you have a soundboard hooked up to a Discman, if I'm not mistaken, which that
Something
might
like
be
that,
yeah, it might be a little outdated,
right?
But I mean, a lot of this stuff in this book alone from 1989 is perfect for like home haunts and everything like that. But there's still a lot of this that is still pertinent to just major haunted attractions to this day.
There are room designs that I used in the very first haunted house I ever did for the March of Dimes that I still use today. If I can come up with something better, I replace them. But you know, if the theme fits and the scares still work, there's no reason to go back to square one and throw out something that works. So I'm constantly looking for haunts and different from Vick, you know, by October, most of my clients are up and running and they don't need me anymore. So I scour the countryside. I see as many as 200 haunted houses in an October, you know, and I go everywhere looking for, you know, I've got a handful of ones that I think are my favorites, but that, you know, I just see everything I can see. And when I go into a city, you know, I may spend 2 or 3 days, you know, if I can find somebody that's open on a Thursday or a Sunday and I'll see everything I can see. I don't care whether it's, you know, some, you know, really high budget haunt or it's somebody, you know, doing something in their garage. I'll still go take a look at it because you never know when you're going to see one thing at one haunt and another thing at another haunt and put those two ideas together for the first time. They say there's no new ideas. There are just two old ideas put together for the first time. And that's really kind of been my goal, is to come up with, you know, with new concepts, with stuff that I haven't seen anywhere before. And I, you know, I'll if I see a really cool room design, I might grab it. But it's interesting. You can take my best room design, you know, and yank it out of the middle of my haunt and go put it in the middle of somebody else's haunt, and it may not be as effective. It really is a true art in that, you know, coming up with exactly the scares and how all that flows together is really it's one and of its own. And there are so many different styles and so many different ways to scare people. You know, everybody does it a little bit differently. And that's what's really cool about going out and seeing everybody's haunted house. You know, and it's weird too, because every once in a while you'll find, you know, regional anomalies. Like almost last year I did a lot of haunts in Michigan and in Chicago. I was in Chicago over Halloween weekend, saw a whole bunch of haunted houses, and almost every haunted house in Chicago has a queue system. You know, like you're getting onto an amusement park ride. They line you up and put exactly as many people as they want in that size of group. You know, and so they have these stalls, and then they fill all those up to the exact number, and then they send them in, you know, on this time ticketing thing. which is that's really foreign to me. I mean, I understand why they're doing it. It doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. But every haunted house I saw in Chicago had some version of that queuing system to send people into the haunt. It's not what I do, but it was just interesting to see. You know, when I first started doing haunted houses and going out and seeing and looking at haunted houses, I would see these anomalies. Like in St. Louis, all the haunted houses had a section that you went outside. You go through a haunted house in the inside, and then you go outside, and there'd be some kind of a forest section. And even if you didn't have a forest near your building, you would put a bunch of trees inside your haunted house, so that you had to have, for some reason, you had to have a forest. In Kansas City, Missouri, that you had to have, or maybe it's Kansas City, Kansas, one of those. Every haunted house had a slide. Every haunted house that I went to in those markets had a slide as part of it. I still do, I think, some of them. But so it was, so you saw those little anomalies. And then when the trade shows kicked in, then everything kind of became homogenized, where you'd see, a claustrophobia tunnel all over, or you'd see, a vortex spinning tunnel all over. You'd see electric chair all over. Those kind of things kind of homogenized everything to a point. But I still see, regional anomalies like I did. Well, one year the first year when the full contact haunted houses started, really kind of before the trend. I was in Salt Lake City, Utah, and I'm going to these haunted houses, and they're all full contact. Some of them were full contact regardless. So, if you don't want to be touched, don't come in. Some of them you bought an extra ticket to be, it was an upcharge to be touched, and you had two levels. You could just be touched, or you could be picked up and carried out of the room. If you wanted the extra scare level, so I was kind of on the cutting edge of kind of seeing what was going on with that. And luckily and I kind of anticipated, but that trend is kind of dissipated. I don't think it's as big a deal as it was for a while. But it's hard if you're a haunted house that doesn't touch people, and the haunted house down the street is touching people. How do you convince people that yours is scarier? It may be, but the fact that they're getting touched at the other one makes it sound scarier. So, and those are the kind of anomalies that I notice when I'm out, seeing a bunch of haunted houses, and trying to keep my finger on the pulse of what's going on and what's new. Nowadays the AI stuff, the chat CBT, is all that stuff is all the rage, and I've been using it to write storylines for haunted. Some of the clients that I have right now, we're in the storyline phase. To me, a haunted house is a horror movie that the patrons walk from scene to scene. So I always start all of my designs with a backstory and a storyline. What story are we trying to tell the people going through? And so I've been using the AI to be able to not create it from scratch. I give them the parameters, and then I tell them to make suggestions, write this story, and give me the parameters. Give me ideas on how you could make it better. And some of them came up with some really cool ideas that I hadn't thought of. I still had it's never did write a complete essay that I could just give to a client. I always had to go back through and rewrite it. But it was surprising how well it did do, and came up with some twists and some stuff that I hadn't thought of. Like one of them, it changed my character from a male to a female. My lead character and my antagonists, and completely flipped genders. And it was just like, well, that's brilliant. That makes way more sense. And it really, I really was impressed with what I could come up with just using new cutting edge technology that's out there now.
So you got a lot of questions in the chat here. So Jonathan wants to know practical versus VFX. Where do you think the future is in modern haunts?
I'm not sure I understand the question. Practical to me is like a practical light. And I'm really big on using actual light fixtures in a haunted house instead of theatrical lighting. So I light my haunts with practicals, and I light them with white light, white or maybe yellow lighting. I try not to use colored light. You can go in and spend a huge amount of time doing a bunch of set dressing and scenic paint and splatter blood all over everything, and then you put a red light on it and you can't see it. So the majority of my haunted houses are very dimly lit, but they are lit with white light. And I don't base my walls out in black anymore. The seminar that I did at Fear Expo talked about how white is the new black. If you think about, if you look at the elite haunted houses in the country, the really high detail stuff, they're all starting with a white base, and then they're grunging it up to make it look disgusting. And it's much harder to do that if you base your walls out in black. So I'm basing all my walls out in white, and now grossing them up, goring them up, and griming them up to make them dark and dirty looking. And it's surprising how much less light you need to light the room than you do with if the walls are dark, start off with a black base. But so VFX, that would be, I mean, special effects. A lot of especially I've kind of niched myself into helping people get started in the industry. My code experience and dealing, and I've gotten so many haunted houses, 200 or 300, 400, I don't know how many haunted houses that I've gotten open, throughout my history, that I've kind of niched myself into helping people get started in the haunted house industry. And while animatronics and, big $10,000 props are really cool, and it's great to have the TV station come in and see that kind of stuff, really a live actor, in my opinion, is a better scarer than an animatronic is. So especially for a new haunt owner, I do put animations in, but they're not really rubber critters that jump when you walk by. There might be some drawers that move, or doors that rattle, a doorknob that moves. Those kind of things are cost effective. You don't want to have an actor standing there doing that, but really, to me, it's the actor that creates that the ability. Even when I do an animation, typically I'll give the actor the button to fire the animation, because an electric beam or a pressure mat or a motion detector, it maybe know where the lead guy is in the group, but he doesn't know where the middle of the group is. He didn't know where the chickens are in the back of the group. So you really kind of have to give to make the scare more effective. You have to give that button to the actor to push.
Drew wants to know masks versus makeup, and which ones do you prefer?
I used to be really big on masks, but now with airbrush makeup and stencils and that kind of stuff, I switched to makeup, and really, to be honest, the mask or makeup and costuming of somebody that's inside the haunted house is really more to get that actor into character than it is to scare anybody. You want to be able to have, in a haunted house, especially with a bunch of jump scares, which is my bread and butter. He doesn't have to have a great costume. He doesn't have to have great makeup, but you need that veil between him and the people that are going through, so that he can act like a nut without feeling self-conscious about it. The really great costume and really getting great makeup needs to be outside where people are taking a good look at it and entertaining the line or doing something else. But inside the haunted house, if the actor's doing in the way I design the show, if the actor's doing what he's supposed to, he's out, scares people, and is gone so fast that they never even really got a good look at him, and then he can come out and pop out and scare him again if he needs to. Especially in a high capacity haunt, that guy's got to be able to pop out 2 or 3 times quickly, so that he can get the next group into the room.
Zach wants to know if you think AI is going to become more widely used in the haunt industry.
I'm sure it will. I'm thinking my background, I have an architectural degree, and it's already being used to do designs for houses and that kind of stuff. And it's not really very good at it yet, but I can see where over time it's going to learn to where it's going to be able to, it's quite possible that the job of an architect is going to be, kind of looking at what some AI has built and trying and just tweaking it, kind of like what I'm doing with the storylines that I'm doing for using AI for storylines. You're really kind of putting the parameters in, letting it spit out some stuff, and then you go through and edit it versus trying to build, the detail from scratch. And that's already going on with architecture. So I think that's probably going to happen with haunt design. Hopefully I'll be retired before that happens. But yeah, I think it's coming. I mean, there's really no way to stop it, I don't think.
Keith wants to know, is there anything Leonard's wanted to do that he hasn't yet?
You know, it's been a while since I owned a haunted house, and I really would like to get back into that. So I think that, you know, what happened was I built that haunted house, and I had was $20,000 in debt. Thought it was a horrible thing, you know, and I had so many people coming to me wanting me to design haunted houses for them that I, you know, took my architectural training and created a business that designs haunted houses for people. And we don't normally build haunted houses. We can, but we don't normally build them. We provide you with construction drawings so that you can either build the attraction yourself, or you can take it out for bid and get the best price from a local contractor to build the haunted house. It doesn't make sense for me to build it in Florida and ship it to you in Oregon. You know, have a local contractor build it. You know, of course, if it's in California or New York, you may want to find somebody out of state to build it, but because it'll be a little cheaper. But the concept being that you know, I that way I don't have to have a warehouse that's sitting around for 6 months out of the year not doing anything. All I'm doing is drawing and creating drawings and sending them out to people to get them built locally. And then we come on site to oversee the installation, you know, make sure that everything's set up properly, that the gags are working right, the effects are working right, the illusions are working right, and help you train your actors and get them going. And then you're off and running and on your own.
It looks like last season you went to Stage Fright, and you got a couple of fans on here.
Good.
Tell us what that experience was like at Stage Fright.
What city is that in? I don't, you know, I see when you see 200 haunted houses in a season, you know, it all becomes a giant blur after a while. You know, there are some things that stand out to me, and I have a list of favorite haunts, you know, but you know, unless it would be almost impossible. You'd have to tell me what city it was in and what it looked. You'd send me a photo of the facade or something before I could.
It's Leesburg, Florida.
Oh, here. Yeah, no, that was a cool haunt. I was really impressed with it, and it was only like $5 or 10. I mean, something ridiculously cheap. And it's done by a theatrical company, and they really did a good job. There was some really, they had a projection of a you know, some kind of a doctor working on doing something, which is obviously it wasn't an actor, so it was, you know, you saved an actor doing that. They had a you know, some scare from, you know, they were scaring from the top and the bottom and the side. I mean, I was really surprisingly impressed with that show. And like I said, you know, I don't judge. If I can get to a haunted house before they close, I'm going to go. So it was, you know, it was one of those that, you know, when you look at the pricing, you got, wow, this is really cheap. I don't, you know, is it's really worth going to? But hey, I went and stopped and went through and really was impressed. And the lady was standing at the ticket taker was standing at the exit when I was leaving. And I said, "This is a good haunt. You're not charging enough." And she says, "Don't move." And she goes into the haunt and grabs some guy to come out and tell him what you just told me. And the guy says, "Oh, hi, Leonard." So, you know, you know, and that's kind of cool. I mean, it's nice to be recognized. But you know, I told him, "You're not charging enough for this haunt." It was pretty good sized, and it was really well done. It's interesting because, you know, 3 or 4 years ago, there were very, very few haunted houses in this market. You know, with Universal and Busch Gardens really kind of sucking all the marketing and air and actors and everything up. But wow, in the last couple of years, there have been a lot of haunted houses popping up in this market. So it's here in Orlando. So it's going to be, you know, we're looking forward to for HauntCon to be able to put a really cool tour together and run around and see a bunch of, you know, cool haunted houses, as well as some interesting stuff that's not really a haunted house, but is interesting. There's a, you know, a horror themed bar that's in downtown and some other really cool stuff that we're going to put on the tour. So we're looking forward to it. Really excited about, you know, HauntCon was in Orlando. I don't know, like 2010 or something like that. And, but I didn't live here at the time, so I didn't know all the ins and outs and all the cool stuff that's around. But so I've been living here for a while, and now I can show everybody all the dark secrets of Orlando and the cool stuff that's around here. It's gonna be fun.
Well, Stage Fright, it looks like Haunt Scene wants to come out to your place, so make sure you hit Johnny Bronto up over that Haunt Scene and get him in there.
There was another one here in town that was I think it was called like Haunted Shrine. And it's done by the Shriners Club, you know, and so I went, and the wait was a little bit long. So I wasn't, you know, it was in like some restaurant building or something, some vacant restaurant. And so I didn't have my hopes up too high, but it was really well done. I was really surprised that you had a couple of interesting effects that I made sure I jotted down for use in a future, haunt that I designed sometime. You were walking down this hallway and there was these 2 feet that were just sticking out in the hallway, under this curtain. And as you walked up to them, they get sucked up into the curtain. It was just like, oh, that's kind of cool. I like that. It was really kind of an interesting effect. So I was really surprised, and that's what's fun. I mean, you find in a hidden gem that's in that you're going to, and you're not, you're it's either it's some kind of a nonprofit that you're thinking, oh, they probably don't have a large budget, or it's some guy some guy even at his house. There's a guy down the street from me that does this yard display he's got to have $1 million worth of props and stuff that he just sets out and lets people drive by and, come out and wander around through his yard and look at stuff. It's just, and that's those kind of things are so cool to find. And, and there are more and more of them. I mean, the haunted house industry is growing every year, and attendance is up too. I think on an average, the haunted house industry attendance grows about 10% a year. And it's been solid. We had a big dip when 9/11 hit, because that was in September and everybody forgot that there was going to be Halloween. So there were some haunts. There's some haunts that did well, but there were some others that were like 60% down. And it took us a few years to get back up to where we were. But really, we haven't even looked back. Even COVID, for the haunted houses that were able to get open, they did huge numbers. So even COVID didn't hurt the haunted house industry if they were able to get open. If they were in a city that was really strict and locking everything down, then that hurt. But yeah, I mean, the industry is really strong, and there are people getting into it every day. I've got more people trying to get me to design haunted houses than I can even shake a stick at now. And it's almost like you got to really want my attention and bug me to even sign a contract, because I'm so busy with other stuff that's going on.
Well, you mentioned HauntCon, so let's
Yep.
talk about that. You're pretty much the godfather of HauntCon. You brought it to light, and you've made it what it was. And now we got some new ownership, and we're moving into the next generation. But obviously, you're still going to be a part of it. So tell us what the journey has been like with you and HauntCon throughout the years.
When we started HauntCon, Transworld looked like the Halloween and Party Expo. I mean, it was they were selling orange and black doilies, and really there wasn't that many Halloween companies at Transworld. And we kind of, with the model that we had, we did tours, we did a lot of education, and HauntCon, the education was always free. I never understood why you would want to charge somebody, for a seminar, because if you can teach the people in that room how to do what they do better, cheaper, faster, whatever, then they're going to make more money, and they're going to spend more money with the vendors, and then the vendors are going to be happy, and they're going to come back. So it was, and it's not fair to have the vendors pay for the space. I was one of the very first people to charge people just to go to the show, because it wasn't fair for the price of the room, the cost of the room, to be solely on the backs of the exhibitors. It made more sense to charge a little bit to all the attendees so that we could lower our exhibitor price. And and that all those kind of things took off, and then all of the different conventions started trying to do that. But yeah, I mean, it was I wasn't a convention guy. I didn't know what I was doing when I started the convention, and we struggled with it. Some years it made money, some years it didn't. Everybody always had a good time. We definitely know how to throw a party. You're not going to complain about not having a good time at HauntCon. But it was something that I kind of felt like I needed to to give to somebody that could take it to a higher level. So we sold it to a convention company that was doing the Halloween and Party Expo convention. And so we sold it to them, hoping that they could turn it into something. They had deeper pockets. They could advertise it better than we could, and make it something. And then, but they left it. The one thing that was really cool about HauntCon, and will continue to be cool about HauntCon, is it was moving to a different city every year. So we'd be in Louisville, we'd be in Detroit, we'd be in Dallas, we'd be in Orlando. We kept moving around and giving kind of introducing the industry to people in different cities all around. And I think the goal there was to grow the industry. It was to grow the number of people that were in the industry and create a bigger industry. And I think we really did that. One of the things that we did for a while, we were kind of doing shows that were in cities around Midwest Haunters Convention when it was in Columbus, and their show just rocketed. I mean, their attendance just went through the roof. We're moving every year, and it was hard to drag people with you to the new location every year. But because we were near all those cities were within driving range of Columbus, their attendance numbers went through the roof. And we support all shows. I will speak at any show that will give me an hour to sit down and talk to people. I don't care. So I go to all the shows I can get to, and I always offer to speak and never charge them anything for doing that. If they can give me a room, I'm totally thrilled. But I'm all about sharing information. And so when we were trying to do, and that's another reason that I really think education should be free. It should be included in the price of the ticket to get in. So everybody's paying a little bit to paying for the classes, and then you're going to fill those classes up, and you're going to educate the industry as well as grow it.
So what do you look forward to most with HauntCon coming back?
Well, I mean, moving, the ability to go see cool stuff. I mean, HauntCon one year was in Salt Lake City, Utah, and we saw Rocky Point, and we saw Nightmare on 13th, and we saw stuff, and we went to other cities, and some of those haunts don't even exist anymore, and so it was the ability for you to go off season and see a haunted house that you've always heard of, but you're so locked to your own show that you can't get away, and it just gives people an opportunity to go see those haunts. In an off-season situation, so you can take your time through it. You're not standing for hours to in line to get in. And so the ability to moving the thing around again is going to really be cool. I really missed the fact, and that really did kill our attendance. HauntCon is all about education and haunt tours. Our education has always been, just incredible. Typically we would have 50 or more hours of education in a HauntCon, in a 3-day convention. And what's cool about it is because you're not paying because you didn't pay to take this one class. If you're in the class and the guy's telling you a bunch of stuff that you already know, or he starts, for whatever reason, he's starting to promote himself instead of doing what he's supposed to do and educating, you can get up and leave and go to another class. You're not stuck in there, being pissed off because you spent $90 for a class that you didn't learn anything in. You can get up and go to another class if you need to. And it didn't cost you anything to leave. So free education, and the best education we could find. We're always looking for cool people. Sometimes maybe they're not even in the haunt industry. They don't have to have big names to be able to teach you something. Everybody knows something. Everybody's come across some cool thing that they know that they can share. And haunters, ever since the beginning, way back when the internet, just was a baby, there was a thing called the Halloween L. It was called the Halloween list. It was a listserv, and it wasn't, based on a website like Facebook or something like that. It was you would join this email group, and anybody that posted to that email group, anybody sent an email to this address, everybody that was on the list got a copy of the email. And I was on there several times, and talking to people, and really was the beginning of people saying, "Oh, wow, you mean there's other people that do haunted houses? That's cool." And there were some people on there that were describing this room design that they came up with, and I messaged them privately and said, "Dude, you need to be selling this. You shouldn't be just giving this away." He says, "Oh no, if somebody wants to use it, that's fine. I don't care." The haunted house industry is such a sharing. The people are, I guess we get all of our hangups, out by scaring the crap out of the public going through. But, there are a handful of people, maybe 2 handfuls that they're pickle haters, and I don't really care for them very much. But the mass majority of the haunted house industry are the best people on earth. That give you their shirt off their back. We never paid our speakers at HauntCon either. We just took they just agreed to speak for to be able to get into the show. And but we're going to change that now. We're going to start with Doug at the helm. He wants to pay the speakers. So if you're thinking about, if you've got a really cool thing to share with the haunt industry and you'd like to try, we're the other thing about HauntCon is that it's very much an incubator. Somebody who is thinking about going to a bigger show and thinking about buying a booth, an expensive booth, but they're not sure that they can make the money. They're not sure their product is where it needs to be before they do that. They can always go to HauntCon and do or Fear Expo and kind of test the water, see what's going on, and get their feet under them, before they go to a bigger show like IAAPA or Transworld. And so we incubate exhibitors and we incubate speakers. If you've never spoken in front of a crowd before, you don't know whether you can do it or not, come speak at HauntCon. We're going to support you. We're going to explain to you what, how you need to do this, what you need to do. And I always feel like if you really know your topic, then, all those nerves go away. If you really know what you're talking about, and you know the subject, then, you're really just kind of carrying on a conversation with people. And you'll learn to be able to speak, and then eventually you'll be speaking at IAAPA or at Transworld. So it's very much an incubation, an incubator for speakers, for attendees, and for vendors. And that's what's cool about it. And we get to go to a different city every year.
Yeah, I know. Just from conversation, I know like Austin was talked about. I know Phoenix was talked about. Yeah, I mean, just the possibilities are endless on
Sure.
where we can go with all this. It's pretty impressive. Well, Leonard, I'm going to ask you one more question because it's getting late. Where do you think all this is going? What does the future of the haunt industry look like in your eyes?
Well, I think it's bright. I mean, technology, keeps evolving, and it's funny too, because when they first started talking about, oh, these haunted houses are touching people, it was, and there were several of the big name haunt people that were railing against it. Oh, you can't do this; it's going to ruin the industry, all stuff. And it's just like, I'm thinking back to 1975 when I went through my first haunted house, and I'm thinking, they were the actors were grabbing me then, and we really in 75 we had just graduated from peeled grapes for eyeballs and spaghetti for brains. I mean, that's the kind of level that haunting was at the time, and we pushed away from that. We got away from that, and we were doing it. There were some haunts that have been touching people for 40 years, but but they really didn't brag about it. It was just something that they did in their haunt. They didn't put it on their website, but and now we've got to the point where, we've got all these radical haunts, and you got to go through the haunted house by yourself, or you got to dig through a toilet for something gross in a toilet to find a key to find your way out. That's really just peeled grapes for eyeballs and spaghetti for brains. It's just better, production value. So everything kind of becomes cyclical, and it comes and goes and comes and goes. The touching came. I think it's on its way out. But everything is cyclical. Some years everybody wants blood, and next year, oh no, you can't have any blood, because somebody got shot someplace or something. So it's really kind of an interesting thing, and I think that'll continue. The level of quality has really, gone through the roof since I started doing this. That will continue. The tech will continue. LED light bulbs or LED lights and projections and all that kind of stuff is big now. That will continue. Animatronics, have come a long way. That will continue. The silicone mask and that kind of stuff. Something that you could some people have actually snuck through security at the airport because they were wearing a mask. That kind of stuff will continue and continue to be, and really the quality and the talent is what really has gone through the roof. It's almost shocking to me now when I go through a haunted house. It's, oh yeah, we're in our third year. And it's just like, I'm looking at plywood that's not even painted black, much less, white or distressed or something else. It's just like, you guys are really going to need to up your game. You can't do this kind of thing at this level anymore because the haunt down the street is, freaking amazing.
Well, Leonard, my friend, thank you for everything that you've done for this industry. I know for me personally, you've helped me throughout the years navigate the waters of this industry and stuff, and I personally appreciate that. And as long as you've been doing it and the knowledge that you bring to what you do to this industry, it just wouldn't be the same without you. I know I appreciate you. I know there's thousands and thousands of people out there in this industry that appreciate you as well. Thank you for being a part of all this. Thank you for coming on the show. Um, can't wait to see you probably HauntCon.
Yeah, it's going to be great. And if you're thinking about getting into the haunted house industry and doing a haunt for the first time, and I can't talk you out of it, I do offer a 30-minute free consultation, so that I can at least point you in the right way. And there's a lot easier ways to make a living than to do a haunted house. But it is fun, and it can be profitable if you do it right. But let me point you in the right direction. Whether you hire me or not after that is up to you. But let me point you in the right direction. Make sure that you're not doing something that's going to get you wrecked. I've had so many dear friends that have mortgaged their house and lost all their savings and lost their significant other, overdoing a haunted house and losing money. That it makes sense for you to call me. It doesn't cost you anything, and I'm always happy to answer questions. Anybody that calls and asks me a question, I'm more than happy to talk to people. So yeah, if you've got a question or if you need some help, let me know. I'm really good about getting stuff, drawings through permit so that we can get the haunts open. There's so many people that'll start building a haunted house and don't realize you've got to get permits and have everything approved by the city. And some of those haunted houses never get open. They've been sitting in a building built for 2 years and they can't get a permit, because the city's mad at them because they built it before without getting the permits and not letting anybody know what was going on. That, and those are just tragic, stories of just money tossed. So give me a call. Let me know what you're doing. Let me bounce it off of me. If you've got a dilemma, you can't decide which way to go. I got an opinion, buddy. It may not be the one you like, but I definitely have one. And if
where can we find you?
I know somebody that does. So
where can we find you?
Yeah, entrepreneurs.com. And just Google Leonard Pickel. I show up like a rash. You can't not see me. And hey, let's give away a book. I had so many people calling me up and saying, Leonard, I can't afford to hire you, but I really want to use one of your floor plans. Do you have one that you're just not using? And it's just like, no, I don't have one that I'm not using.
If you want to give away a book, you can absolutely give
away
a book.
So I came up with this idea. I took a bunch of haunted house designs. They're all like 1990s or earlier, 1995 maybe, or 98 and earlier. But I put 30 of them in a booklet, and we sell those for $60 on the website. And now when somebody calls and asks me if I have one I'm not using, I say, yeah, there's 30 of them. It's $50, $60.
Well,
so
don't knock it, because, like I said, I still have mine, and I still refer to this. People ask me questions. I peek in here for answers.
Well, this one's a little different. It's floor plans. It's full done floor plans, and most of them are triangular grid. I'm famous for the triangular grid system, and so most of the floor plans are triangular grid, but there are some square grids in there too. I do those every once in a while when it makes sense. So, but yeah, let's give one away. Figure out how you want to do it, and then
Hunt team wants to know if it'll be autographed.
It can be if you ask really nicely. Yeah, we can do that. But yeah, send me just give it away and send me the contact information, and I'll do it.
Fear Expo has the generator that picks a random person from the chat. So cool. Let's go ahead. I don't know whoever's behind the scenes running that. Let's go ahead and randomly pick somebody for the chat to win one of Leonard's floor design books for his floor plans, and then we'll figure out a way to get you two in contact so that you can get it out to them. I don't know, did something come up here? I don't think so. I can't hardly tell anymore. It's all going. Doug Schaefer saying that he's random. Yeah, we know you're random there, big guy. We know you're random. So other than doing while we wait for this, other than HauntCon and Fear Expo and stuff, what else you got going
on? People don't know this about me, but I've been roller skating since I was a child, and I still roller skate 2 or 3 times a week. Which is great. It keeps me in shape and keeps me young. So and I've actually designed some roller skates. So I'm actually in the process of coming up with pickle plates for roller skates. So you can, if you guys are roller skaters, you should look me up, and we'll talk about getting you a set of custom made pickle roller skates.
Are we gonna have a roller skate party at HauntCon in Orlando? Because that would actually be pretty cool. I think a lot of people would love that.
You know, there is a rink in Orlando that has an adult night on Sunday night that is the absolute most amazing session that you have ever seen. It's adult night, 16 and over, and we could certainly do that. I mean, that would be easy. And that there's got to be 200 people in that rink, and they are all really good skaters. But yeah, we could do that. It'd be fun.
We should one day, we should 100% for Fear Expo, like on a Friday night or Saturday night or something like that. Just completely rent out the skating rink and do like a monster roller rink party. I think that'd be great.
Yeah, it'd be fun. I'll even DJ it.
All right, how do you want our winner to get a hold of you?
Just have somebody send me their contact information and mailing address so that I can shoot it out to them.
Do you want to do that through Entrepreneur?
Yeah, you can do that. HauntCon at Gmail will still get to me as well.
All right, so HauntCon at Gmail. Richard, send your information to Leonard. You won yourself a floor plan book for your haunted attraction. All right, Leonard.
Shoot me what you want autographed on it, and then I'll do that too.
All right, fantastic. Leonard, thank you so much for being on the show.
Oh, my pleasure.
Can't wait to see you. Probably see you in January, my friend.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, you have a good one, my friend.
All right, take care.
All right, that was it. Leonard was kind enough to give up some stuff there, give up one of his books. Vick wanted to give away some blood, but we didn't get up to the 50 mark. So you know what? If Vick's still up for it, maybe next week we'll have him be a special guest sponsor of the show. And if we get up to 50 views, we'll give away some monster blood. How's that sound, Vick?
It sounds like a plan. I got some.
So maybe we'll do that. So go ahead and like and share and get the word out. We get 50 views. We'll put out a special hashtag. Thank you, Vick, for being on the show tonight. Thank you, Leonard, for being on the show tonight. I think I got a few plugs I got to do. So HauntCon coming up in January. Right there, February 2nd through the 4th in Orlando, Florida. Keep an eye out for information on that. It's going to be, we're working on it. Things are going to be really cool for that show. HauntCon is coming back bigger and better. And then, of course, in April, we have Fear Expo, Owensboro, Kentucky. I don't know if we have that graphic up yet. Still me. I still look good. That's all good. But all you guys know where Fear Expo is at and how to get there and when it is. It's going to be an amazing show this year. I can't wait for HauntCon. I cannot wait for Fear Expo. We got to figure out a way to get this haunted roller skating party for Fear Expo. That would be pretty sweet in Orlando. Anyways, we're still working on a name for the show. I think we're kind of leaning towards Scarecast. I don't know. We're not sold on it yet, but Scarecast is the front runner. So if you got something different, you would like to call the show something else, please let us know. In the meantime, thank you for coming on to the show. Thank you for listening. I hope you guys learned something. I hope you guys got to meet our great guests, Vick and Leonard, tonight and learn about what they do and where to find them and use their resources. Anyways, I'll see you guys next Thursday. We'll have different guests, same time. Thank you all for showing up. See you next Thursday.